This is a video by How Money Works, and it's titled The Predatory Monetization of Video Games. How Money Works.
In the late 1990s, the internet was gaining popularity at a rapid rate, and tech enthusiasts were starting to download video game content straight off this new communications platform. In the early days, these pieces of download...
Did any of you guys do one of these LAN parties like this? Did any of you guys do a LAN party during this era where you had these CRT monitors in a room like this? This was my childhood right here. If you were too young to do one of these, you missed out, okay? You don't know the pain and the struggle of carrying a 40-pound CRT monitor into the LAN, okay? You didn't get to experience lugging that to your, you didn't get to experience that, okay? You missed out, trust me. And then the ball mouse that you had to clean, okay? All right, everyone was fit, yeah, all right. Halo, yeah, dude. Yeah, I had Halo monitor, but no friends. Look at these speakers, dude. Look at this monitor. My childhood, dude.
Downloadable content, or DLC, were primarily things like fan-made extensions to popular video games and Doom mods. Lots and lots of Doom mods. It was mostly harmless fun amongst a small group of technically proficient gamers and developers. This would change with the introduction of online gaming platforms like MMOs and Microsoft's Xbox Live, which allowed players to make purchases directly over the internet.
Dude, look at The Rock. Is that The Rock? He's hardly recognizable. Is that The Rock, dude? Yeah, dude, yeah. Your eyes are blurry. Let me make sure this is oh yeah, it is. It's on 1440. Yeah. Do you know why your eyes are blurry? It's because the footage is from the early 2000s when everything was recorded in digital, but low-res digital. It's awful.
For the first few years, this was mostly game companies selling subscriptions to play in their virtual worlds or selling small expansion packs online, which wouldn't justify a new game release in their own right. The pushback was minimal, and most players were actually excited to be able to pay $4 or $5 to get an extra few hours worth of gameplay without having to go to GameStop to buy an entirely new game. This was until 2006, when Bethesda, the developer of the Elder Scrolls series, released DLC which...
And do you guys know what he's going to talk about? Do you guys know what he's about to bring up? Who remembers this infamous incident? Anybody remember? Do you know what he's going to talk about? No, not crates, not yet. This was the horse armor, dude. The infamous horse armor. The thing that a lot of people point to and say, this was the beginning of the end of monetization for video games. I think that's unfair, but it was the beginning of the companies that you looked up to starting to do it. You know, there was definitely companies that you were like, they're a shite company anyway and don't care. But then Bethesda did it and you're like, no, you were the chosen one.
Added nothing to the game other than armor for your in-game horse. This $2.50 optional download in a single-player game was the first time that players actively pushed back at the idea of paying money for pixels that otherwise...
$2.50. A $2? Can you guys imagine a $2.50 cosmetic in ESO or any game these days? Oh my lord. Oh my lord.
Added nothing to the game. Despite the negativity, the horse armor became the 9th best-selling DLC for the Elder Scrolls game, beating out entire expansion packs which took thousands of hours in development time to produce. By contrast, the horse armor was just a 3D model which took a 3D artist an afternoon to put together. Other gaming studios saw this success, and 18 years later, most of the money made by the $180 billion gaming industry comes from sales made after the customer has already purchased the game. This might seem harmless to most of you watching. You might even think it's a good way to subsidize the cost of development, making video games cheaper for people who are not interested in these in-game purchases. But these seemingly harmless pixels are being knowingly exploited to prey on some of the most vulnerable people in our society. To find out why, it's time to learn how money works, which was made possible today by Morning Brew. Morning Brew is a daily email newsletter which keeps you up to date with what's going on in the world of business, tech, finance, crypto, and culture.
You pirated it? I mean, the $2.50. That horse armor wasn't even... It didn't even look that cool. It wasn't even worth pirating. That's more effort than it's worth, let alone the transaction. You mowed the lawn for the horse armory? Oh, you mowed the lawn so you could grab it. I didn't realize they did it when I played it. I only realized that a year later I actually played the game to completion. Oh, yeah. Well, that was the difference between monetization of video games back then and monetization of video games now. Back then, when it first started, you got the full game that you paid for, and then they would sell you little tiny trinkets and things that were totally superfluous on top. That is not the case anymore. Now they sell you half the game, and then they DLC the other half, which is arguably essential to the experience. Yeah. Yeah.
All in a simple, easy to digest format. Each daily newsletter features short segments which will take you no more than a minute to read, but will still get you up to speed with what's going on in the world, all while providing handy short links if you do want to read further. Morning Brew mixes in some heavy-hitting stories about major world events with other more niche stories like this one about an NFT collector who lost over $2 million in Bored Apes after falling for a run-of-the-mill phishing scam. This story was actually very useful to me as I was writing this video. You'll find out why shortly. Morning Brew is the best way to start a productive day, and the best part of it is it's completely free. So there's absolutely no—
So, 1 to 10, how much of a scam are NFTs, guys? 1 to 10, what do you say? 10 being most scam. 100, 10, 10, 10, 11, 10, 10? 9 plus? Yeah. Okay. So everybody thinks NFTs equal scam. All right. Watch. Just wait. A developer we love is going to make the horrible mistake of trying to put them in their game sometime. There's going to be somebody at the top that just insists that it's the next way to make money. It's going to happen. It's going to, just regardless of how permanently deaf it is. It's just so awful.
No risk in finding out how much better informed you can be when you pair your morning coffee with a scroll of Morning Brew. Check out the link below to easily sign up. Video game developers are companies with a profit motive, and in many instances, shareholders who they need to keep happy. Selling a game once is great, but it means there is a set amount of money that can be made from a set amount of games. Exceptions do exist. Somehow I have managed to buy Skyrim for the PS3, PS4, and PC, but I don't like to talk about it. The problem here is that some people are only willing to spend—
I know a lot of you guys are incredibly guilty of buying Skyrim more than once. I see you. I see you.
$20 a month on video games where other people are happy to spend thousands. You could try to charge thousands of dollars for your game, but unfortunately, not many people would be willing to pay that price. The only way to truly maximize profit is to get every possible gamer to pay the maximum possible amount that they are individually willing to pay for the game. That's impossible to achieve with a direct sale. A GameStop employee can't be expected to look over someone's financial records before setting an asking price for a copy of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, so you need to be smarter. What you need to do is offer a game that gets slightly better the more you pay for it. If you want to get really crafty, you can make the game itself free to download and play, but lock big advantages behind in-game transactions. Your free version of Clash of Clans is probably a perfectly fine game, but you will be destroyed by another dude that drops $2,000 a month upgrading his base.
Pay to win? We can just call that what it is. Pay to win? Yeah, it's everywhere. Thank you, Lucky. Yeah, anytime, man.
It might be annoying for you, but it's great for the game company. Most people only play their game because it's free. Some might throw in a few bucks to pay for a premium subscription. And then there are a few hundred so-called whales that drop $1,000 a month to make sure they are the most powerful players possible. This game extracted the maximum possible amount of money out of everybody that plays it. The game
and it's just the whales fighting the bigger whales in these games. And that's like the worst part. It just ends up being the whales fighting the bigger whales while all the little people never get that far. They're not that high ranked, and they're all just fighting each other down at the bottom, you know, and then you've got the giga whales fighting the mega whales at the top. And credit card battles.
Developers aren't even worried about all the players who aren't even paying them a cent. They might cost them a small marginal amount for server hosting, but they are offering back something far more valuable. They are the entertainment for the whales who are paying thousands of dollars a month. Someone isn't going to keep paying more money to upgrade their weapons if they can't use them to absolutely dominate some poor kid who thought they would just try out a free mobile game. Business students call this price skimming, where businesses will alter their prices for the same product for different people in order to maximize profits. Gamers call this pay to win. Monetization in games takes on a few different forms. The best type of game in the gamer's eye is a game that is free with no outlets for monetization at all. The problem is, of course, that this doesn't generate any revenue for whoever put the time and effort into developing the game. That doesn't mean that these games don't exist though, and I salute the dedicated souls behind them. The next step down from there are games that are free to play that
These don't really exist, right? What do they always say? Like, if they're not selling the product, you are the product. So these don't really exist, and if they do, all of your information is probably being sold to someone.
sell game items that make cosmetic changes only. A new hat for your character or a dapper new outfit. It doesn't improve your stats in the game, but it's cool to look at, and some people are happy to pay some money for the outfits, which keeps the game financed. Pretty good trade if you ask me.
Yeah.
One worse than that is games that you need to pay for up front, but also offer cosmetic items.
Yeah.
Again, these items don't give you any special advantage over other players in the game, but if you've already paid $60 for a video game, you might not like having more shit marketed to you in the game itself. Worse again are free games that have in-game advantages for sale. Mobile games are notorious
What do you think the last one's gonna be? What's worse than pay to win?
for this. You can download Rise of Warship Legends for free, but if you want to be competitive against other players, you are almost forced into paying money to skip arbitrary timers and unlock powerful items. The absolute worst are games that you need to pay for, but still offer in-game advantages.
Oh, pay to win again.
For money.
Oh, it's a paid game with pay to win. What's a paid game with pay to win? Can you think of a game that you have to pay to play with pay to win? Oh.
When EA released Star Wars Battlefront, they were met with, moderate resistance for locking characters like Darth Vader behind real cash paywalls or obscenely difficult in-game challenges. But what's the actual harm here? It might make some games a little.
No, I don't see it. I don't see ESO as pay to win. I don't see ESO as pay to win. There's a difference between like expansions having the best gear and being pay to win. I think it's a very different thing. I mean, it has pay to win. It says pay to win as WoW and Guild Wars 2 are, in that you can exchange like cash up currency for gold in game, you know, which is definitely a form of pay to win, no doubt. But like, not like the same as like swiping your credit card and instantly making your character more powerful than someone that could be.
A bit less fun, but it's not like anybody is forcing you to play them. Well, the harm comes to the people that unfortunately already do. A 2018 report by Daniel King of the Society for the Study of Addiction has reported that video game addiction is very real, and that addiction is—
Oh, dude, for sure it's real. I'm 100% a video game addict. No doubt, dude. I don't think it's been a detriment to my life, but I have definitely been like, as far as like hobbies go, there is nothing else I would rather do than boot up a good video game, you know? Like, some people like to watch TV, some people like to read a book, some people like to fish, and I like to boot up video games, man. Yeah, we need to enter Lucky into rehab. Fat chance, dude. Yeah, fat chance. Nothing wrong with gaming? Yeah.
It's being preyed upon by game companies to extract a lot of money out of a surprisingly small group of people. Whales is a term typically used by casinos to describe patrons that gamble significant amounts of money. The casinos will cater to these high rollers in any way that they can, so they keep coming back and losing more money at the tables. Whales in video games are just the same, and video game companies cater to them in the same way. You want to feel like an absolute badass? Drop $200 on in-game gems that will let you crush any opponent, except for maybe the guy that spent $500 on gems. The report explains that this rewards your brain by tricking it into believing that purchasing in-game items is just part of skillful gameplay. This becomes all the more sinister when the game companies spend years refining their systems to maximize this effect on your brain. Perhaps nowhere is this clearer to see than in the loot box. For those of you who don't know, a loot box
The loot box, the most atrocious form of video game monetization. This one can't go away fast enough.
is a collective term given to in-game purchases that offer out random items. This means that a player could spend money on an in-game purchase and not get the item that they really wanted. They may not get any item of value at all. Loot boxes add this element of chance into this toxic cocktail of predatory monetization, which can lock even the most pragmatic players into a loop of trying just one more spin to try and get that super rare character. The next tool that these companies will use to their advantage is the player base themselves. Online games are meant to be social. For many serious gamers, they spend more time with their online friends than they do interacting with the people in.
True. How many of do any of you guys spend more time interacting with your online friends than your real life friends? I mean, I sit here and talk with you guys and game with you guys all day long, and I see my real life friends like once every 6 months. Once a real life friend. People are overrated. Yeah, dude. I have no friends. I don't like real life socialization. Never did. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's exhausting, and you can't just leave when you want to. I mean, I do. I'm definitely one of those people that is an Irish Exeter, where I'll be at a party and then I'll just be like, being home in my own house sounds like better right now. And then I don't like the idea of telling everyone that I'm leaving and then having them all guilt trip me for leaving. So I just leave. I just disappear, dude, like a ghost, man. I'm out. No one's gonna guilt trip me for leaving. I'm gone. And then I'll just like text them later. Yeah, good seeing you tonight. You know, it was good times. Yeah. Yeah. You don't need pants on Twitch. True. You do the Irish goodbye all the time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
In the real world, especially during the pandemic. There were
Irish people in chat are like, what the hell's an Irish goodbye?
3 types of people that gamers will meet in these games. Players that are better than them because they spend a lot of money, players that are worse than them but will offer an ego boost to the gamer who did spend a lot of money, and peers who have been conditioned by the game to not think too critically about dropping a few $100 for a slight in-game advantage. Humans are both social and competitive beings. Gamers are on average more isolated than non-gamers. So when they get the chance to spend a little cash to flex in the social setting that they spend the most time in, most of them will take it. All of these people, without even realizing it, will be pushing each other to spend more money in-game, which is a big reason why some of the most profitable games in the world are free. The final tool is big data. Since most of these games are played online, the developers have one final advantage in the battle to extract cash from their customers' pockets. It's impossible for a gamer to know more about the game than the game company knows about them. Anybody who has played these types of games will be able to attest to the very confusing currency systems in the game. Some games will have multiple different currencies to collect, gems, coins, pearls, and they will all be used to unlock different things in the game. A coin might be used to pay for armor, but you will need pearls to unlock special spells, and cosmetic outfits can only be paid for with gems. Many people have compared this to casinos giving players poker chips instead of letting them play with actual money, because people don't experience the same emotional response handing over a $100 poker chip as they would with a $100 bill. This is
true. It's all about dissociating your money, right? It's all about like removing that relation to from value of the thing, right? It's just separating value from the object. You know, that's why you always have to buy a currency in game that you can spend in the game. So you just it's so like, imagine if there were laws put in place to make monetization fair, the first one you would do is just be like, no such thing as an in-game currency, period. It's gone, right? Instantly, monetization is 100 times more fair and more transparent, and then you just get rid of any gambling mechanics, and then video game monetization would be 1,000 times better. Just those 2 changes alone.
No doubt part of the strategy, but I think in-game tokens are worse, because while poker chips have a clear face value, these games make it really hard to work out how much value you are actually getting out of an in-game purchase, because it introduces an exchange rate. The last thing you want to be doing while enjoying a game is exchange rate math. Because of this, game companies can present tailored offers to gamers to maximize the chances that they go and pull out their credit card. Activision and EA both have patents on their microtransaction systems, and they keep them so closely guarded because they are the primary revenue generator for these two ginormous public companies. These companies want to form habits. A player who spends $100 every week is worth far more than—
What would they be able to like copyright on their like microtransactions like process? Like it's everybody does the exact same thing. So like what what copyright is existing on the way that they microtransaction? Algorithms, the copywriting the algorithm, the code behind it, the serving up of the microtransactions.
Than a player who spends $1,000 just once. This also slowly allows players to fall into the biggest trap of all time, the sunk cost. A game company is likely to make a very modest offer with a big reward first. If the gamer decides to purchase that offer, all subsequent offers will become gradually more expensive with declining true in-game value. Remember, this is
always, right? It's always just a taste. You get that first thing that's like, it's a really good deal. You know, it hardly costs anything at all, and you get all this stuff, and then it's a little bit more for a little bit less, a little bit more for a little bit less.
This is made intentionally hard to keep track of because of the different in-game currencies the developers use. By the time the gamer realizes what has happened, they might have spent thousands of dollars on a video game that they thought they would be playing for free. At that point, there is no point in putting the game down because they have already sunk so much time and effort into playing this game that it would be silly to stop now. A lot of these video game whales are not wealthy either. On the contrary, the report found that a lot of these purchases were paid for with debt that the gamer had no way of paying back. So what are you to do when you have mounting debt and a partner that is angry at you for spending your grocery money on a virtual battleship? You look for an escape, of course, and what better escape exists than an online universe filled with your enthusiastic friends who all think that you're a hero because you unlocked the Ultra Mega Sword, which you could upgrade right now to the Giga Ultra Mega Sword for just $29.99. Preying on habitual addictive behavior from socially isolated people who just want a platform to socialize on is extremely unethical. Every bit as unethical as a casino without even—
Yeah, I mean, food's overrated, right? Food's overrated. We don't need that. There's no cure for the stupid. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, well, that's the thing. That's why it's labeled predatory, right? Is because you're preying on the weakness of these types of minds. The people that have gambling addictions, the people that have spending addictions, the people that are too incompetent to keep their own well-being at the forefront of their expenditures. You know, like these are the people that are being preyed on when people say something has predatory monetization. Yes, we have food in game. Yeah, we have food in game. Just buy that. It's fine. I don't need to eat. My spirit is so high. It just regens nonstop. There you go. Dopamine is also powerful. True. Yeah, it is. Well, that's why it's addicting for people. And it's designed, but that's not by accident either, right? It's designed to be addicting. The very nature of the entire process is to make the system as addictive as possible for people that are subject to falling for such traps. You know, the people that fall into this addiction. The people that will buy loot crates endlessly to get one more mount that, you know, is going to collect dust for them in a few weeks. You know, it's crazy.
Offering the chance for these players to make any of their money back. Now, if you want to learn about more ways that companies are intentionally hijacking internet culture for their own profit, go and watch my video on the companies intentionally fueling the meme bubble to profit off people investing into securities like GameStop, AMC, and cryptocurrencies. Since this video was obviously not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, I want to say another thank you to Morning Brew, my patrons and channel members, for making it possible for everybody to keep on learning how money works.
Nice. Here, I'll show you guys that video right here. This is that right here. There it is, guide. There it is. Good video. Really good video. Yeah, really interesting thought process behind it all. It's true. Like the whole process of it's funny that it all kind of like everybody points back to the beginning, right? The beginning being the horse armor. And I don't think the horse armor was the first one. It was the first time like your favorite company did it. But this is the video. It is called The Predatory Monetization of Video Games: How Money Works by How Money Works. Great video. And links in the chat if you guys want to check it out for yourself, or sub or like to this channel. Highly recommend it. Good video. And
Video.
where was it?
You can
no. This right here, my childhood, this screen right here. This was the highlight of the video for me because it took me right back to the days before microtransactions, the day when I was carrying my CRT monitor into a LAN party. Those were the days, man. Yeah. Here I felt naughty for getting a hairdo from the dinosaur. Sheesh. Yeah, you know, I think that like, you know, there's a difference between microtransactions where it's a cost for an item, and there's a difference for items where you have to gamble for it. Or there's, you know, like there's some kinds of microtransactions that I'm totally okay with. Cosmetics being one. You know, if you sell me a cosmetic for a set price, that's fine. You know, if you pretend that I'm going to be able to get it for a reasonable price when actually the drop rate on it is absurdly low, and it's going to end up costing me way more than I would have ever spent on that item, that's when it becomes really scummy, right? That's when you're falling into the trap. That's when it was actually predatory by design. When the actual cost is far more than any reasonable person would have expected themselves to have to pay for a few pixels on their screen, aka loot crates, right? That's basically what the design of loot crates are. It's the idea is, oh yeah, you just spend $15 and you might get this awesome thing. It's going to be hundreds of dollars before you get it. Yeah. The lines are blurring. The difference between the games you're describing and lines are blurring. The lines are, well, I think that there's just fewer of the games that are whole, like, let's say purely monetized. They're still out there, you know, there's still games and companies that are doing it and that are loved by their fans for doing it. And then there's developers answering to a higher power, their investors, you know. And then there's one other one, you know, there's the there's pay to win, which it's usually the games that are pay to win are also the games that are predatory in terms of like gambling mechanics and games of chance with your money and all of that stuff. It's really, it's too bad. I hope to see, I think the only way that this trend reverses or slows down or finds a reasonable balance, right? Because like developers have to make money, and like I'm okay with them making money. I'm even okay with them making extra money off of microtransactions, but there's got to be like some kind of balance struck eventually, hopefully, where, yeah, at least gambling mechanics, at least turning your game into a casino, or turning a casino with a skin of whatever game you're thinking you're playing wrapped around it. Like that has to go at some point, because that's really the root of all the problems, right? We play Magic the Gathering and Warhammer. Older games pre-internet don't fall for this crap as much. Yeah, I mean, if you played Magic the Gathering, that was like one of the original pay-to-win games. Warhammer kind of, but in Warhammer tournaments, if I'm not mistaken, you also like there was a point system. So the more valuable your army, the more points were deducted from your score, kind of thing. So like it kind of balanced out that pay-to-win. Yeah, you bring a cheesy expensive army in. And at least at the tournaments I saw my friend go to, they had ways of kind of trying to turn the pay to win into not a pay to win. But I don't think you could do that with like Magic the Gathering. Or maybe you could. I don't know. Your SO still plays Warhammer 1K points, if you recall. Yeah. Pretty fascinating. Lucky, I feel old gamers pre-internet don't fall for this crap as much. Old gamers pre-internet don't fall for this game. So your theory is that the old people playing ESO don't buy loot crates. They're not buying $100 houses or gambling on mounts and stuff. I don't know. You know, I think regardless of age, there's a certain type of person that is more subject. They're the same person that'll go to Vegas, and at the end of their trip to Vegas, they'll be like, damn, I really shouldn't have blown $3,000 in Vegas this weekend. Like, that was, what was I doing, right? Those people are the same people that, you know, they'll boot up a video game and blow $3,000 or $500 on loot crates, and at the end they'll go, I shouldn't have done that. What was I doing, you know? Same person. It seems ageless to me. Older gamers are just bad, yeah. But there are the few. I don't know. I think like gambling addicts. I think a gambling addict is ageless. I don't think that it's young people that are gambling addicts or old people that are. I think they're just people that are. There's people that just, you know, it's and that's really what it is when you get into. You don't fall for it, yeah. And that's totally like, you know, that's great. That's great. Older folk generally have a higher disposable income. Yeah, and then you've got the whole disposable income thing, which generally is a massive factor in how much you blow on a video game, how much of a whale you are. You know, if you're spending $1,000, but that's 1% of, you know, your disposable income, it's nothing to you. You know, you don't think twice about it, but you just spent more on the game than a normal person will in like 5 years. You know. I think younger people are less likely to be offended by the predatory monetization. I think that's true. I think younger people are definitely like, they were born into this monetization. They didn't watch it get piled onto video games. Like, they've never really known anything else. They don't know what it was like to have a game come out with all of the cosmetics included, with all of the expansions included, you know, where you beat the game and you're like, why did this feel so short? And then a week later, they announced the first DLC is going to launch like 3 weeks after the game dropped. And you're like, oh, so you saved the first DLC. You took it out of the game and you sold it separately. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think random chance crates should be regulated 100%. 100% gambling in video games should be regulated. Gambling when it comes to real money should be regulated. You can't open up a casino in your house, right? You can't just open up a casino. In every other industry, it's regulated. You can't just open up a casino anywhere you want. At least not in the United States. Like, there's a lot of laws that you have to navigate to open a casino. You have to apply for that because you're about to steal money from people legally, right? But developers for video games, they don't have to navigate those laws. They just open a casino, call it a game, and they just, you know, rake in the money. Post Malone dumps huge money in a Magic the Gathering. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Does also open a casino on your desktop? Yes. Yeah. Loot crates are definitely the definition of that. The state wants that sweet money. Yeah, man. It's all rigged. Well, yeah, by the nature of gambling, right? It's rigged in the house's favor. By design. Yeah. Anyway, you know, that's this video. Predatory monetization video games. I think the only way it stops is if the government ever, you know, if we ever have enough people in power in the government that aren't owned by lobbyists, that's the only way we see this turn around. And right now, that ratio does not exist in our favor. And so, you know, all we can do is rely on Europe to keep going with it. Europe, we're seeing them make the push, man. We're seeing them make the push over there in Europe. There's a few countries that are putting their foot down about this nonsense. Yeah. Fingers crossed, man. Also, some that aren't fossils. It doesn't help that they're old and have no idea how any of this works. Yeah, a lot of these politicians. They're oblivious to the issue.